Hello, 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 and welcome to PitchZone, a weekly gathering of coaches every Thursday, 10:15 Eastern Time, that help one presenter with a 3-minute pitch or somewhere around 3 minutes. And we do this simply because we love doing what we do. So today's presenter is Kirk Bogle. Kirk, it is a real pleasure having you here. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to all the coaching.
All right, all right, all right. So you are joining us from where?
I am just north of Chicago.
North of Chicago. Okay, Michael is in Chicago as well, one of our coaches. He's not here today, but Chicago, Windy City, do you already have snow?
It's going to be on the way. We've had some and it's melted, but more's coming for
All
6 months.
right. Okay. Kirk, I'm gonna put you into a slightly smaller window and bring out the coaches, which you probably are anxious to meet. The first one you know fairly well already, Nathan Gold. Nathan, good morning, good early morning to you in San Francisco. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. I've already had a full cup of coffee to get ready for this cat.
Okay. So, Nathan, I'm going to put you into the coaches row here and bring
Okay.
out Rick Pollack, our coach number 2 for today. Rick, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm out in Boston where it's sunny and warm, around 50 degrees. So no snow
Oh,
yet.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Rick, I'm going to put you in the coaches corner as well while I'm pulling in Stuart Pink. Stuart, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks, Claudio. Hello, everyone. Also, just outside Boston, so enjoying that we're warmer than Chicago right now.
Excellent. So 2 times Boston and Chicago and San Francisco, and I'm hailing from Thailand. If we haven't met yet, my name is Claudio. I'm the host of this show. I'm the author of the Founder's Guide to Presenting. And I simply love to help startups with their pitches, whether they are investor pitches, customer pitches, or any pitch in between. So we love doing this, and let's move on. Let's move on to the actual star of the show today, Kirk. You are going to do a roughly 3-minute pitch today. You're practicing for a specific audience. What is the audience that you have in mind for this type of pitch?
I have in mind for pre-seed incubators, hopefully someone that would be funding, but be far more forgiving than actual venture capital at this point.
Okay. So you're past the family and friends already.
Right. Right.
All right. Very good. Well, Kirk, when I put you into the spotlight, I will also display a stopwatch right up there. I'm not sure if you can see it.
Okay, got
All
it.
right, cool. We had some presenters complaining they couldn't see it. So in this case, we are set. I'm going to put you into the spotlight. And whenever you start talking, I will start the clock. So there is no rush. Take a breath, center yourself. And whenever you're ready, smile, and the floor is yours.
Well, I want to thank you for giving me a chance to tell my story today. I am the father of a 2-year-old. And for me, parenthood, it just means no more safety, sense of security. You always want to make sure you have enough eyes on your child. My wife and I, we both work from home. There's so many distractions. And I was frustrated one day thinking how in this era of the Internet of Things, no one had invented a baby monitor that works on your child's location within the home. We love our Wi-Fi baby cams and our GPS kid trackers, but I wanted something that would alert me when my son was headed towards the edge of the fireplace or pretty much anything in the kitchen. So we proposed an idea we're calling Good Gate. And the way it works is your child, you affix a tag to their clothing, their diaper waistband, and you have sensors that you can affix anywhere around the house, tops and bottoms of stairs, that edge of the fireplace, maybe the bookshelf that might topple over. And when your child comes into proximity with the sensor, the LED lights up, and maybe one sentence of audio plays. Be careful, you're headed towards the staircase, and it's giving the child a repetition of language, helps orient them, helps them learn the spaces of the home. And besides what happens on the sensor end for your kid, you also have an app, which you've got like a network heat map here, kind of alerts you where in the home they've triggered a sensor. And we think for parents, it's going to be a game changer. It just kind of solves a lot of the different problems of the current solutions. With Apple AirTags, we think the sensors are going to just provide a much better system for parents. The technology has been in use for decades in warehouses and hospitals, and we think it's time someone adapt it for use within the home. We see so much opportunity for expansion to pets and for elder tech. We're working on the idea for a few weeks before it struck me that this is the product I was Googling for when a family member had Alzheimer's. And it's just something we're really excited about. We are literally trying to help save children's lives, keep them safer. And we would love it if you would join with us to help us deliver the new moving baby monitor. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Kirk, this was like I like pitches to be. Absolutely. Your energy is fantastic. Your smile, you're all there. And the personal stories, how it's relevant. You explained why you do this so elegantly without going into this is why I'm doing this, but you are weaving it so nicely in there. So love it, love it, love it. Nathan, Rick, Stewart, who wants to take the floor and start with feedback for Kirk?
Okay. Let's have Rick or Stewart take it.
Okay. I will go first. Kirk, I was really impressed. I love the product, and also I love the way you presented it. I like at the very beginning the way you started. Instead of just saying, I'm Kirk, this is my company, you said, I'm the father of a 2-year-old. And people can relate to that. So it's a good way to connect, starting out, because, it's not a whole bunch of corporate mumbo jumbo. You're saying, I'm the father of a 2-year-old, and you don't have to have kids. You understand right away. And you're talking about you and your wife working at home and the problem. Within 20 seconds, you had really defined the problem, that you're working at home, but you don't have the eyes on the child as they're moving around the house. And then within 40 seconds, you said, okay, good gate. You talked about it, the sensors in the house. By 50 seconds, I knew exactly what the product was. And I knew, so that was good, because so many people who go through pitches, 2 minutes into the pitch, you have no idea what it is. They're talking about, background or whatever. So I thought the timing on that was really good. And, you talked about, okay, a tag to the clothing, sensors in the house, 50 seconds, and, we knew what it was. And then you showed the LED lights up, the audio plays. So, as someone, even though I'm not a parent, I know exactly what it would be watching the kid. And then minute 20, you held up the phone and you showed the app. And I could see a lot of times people hold things up and the text is too small. I could see the little map of the house with the sensors, and I knew exactly, okay, this is good. It was quick. You didn't have to start going through screens or whatever. I could see on the phone where that was. One thing at a minute 30, you mentioned game changer. And I think just about everyone who pitches something says this is a game changer. I think that's probably overused. So I don't know if, in this case, I think it probably is, but almost everyone who's pitching says this is a game changer. So I'd be a little careful on using that too much, because that's just, I think it's overused. And then minute 55, you talked about pets and elders. Not necessarily in that order, but again, it could be for both. And then talking about personally about Alzheimer's and helping save lives. I think that's key about helping save lives. Keeping people out of danger, whether it's a a 2-year-old or whether it's a 92-year-old. You're keeping people out of danger. I think your close could have been stronger. 2 minute, 20 seconds, you went through it and you just said, join us. I was like, well, how? How is that
Well,
pre-seed investor going to join you? What can they do? So I think you were, I think 2 minutes and 20, 2 minute 25, you were done. So I think you've got another 30 seconds to ask people and give them a call to action. Hey, this is a product, whether you call it a game changer, whatever you call it. This is going to keep children, pets, elders safe. Here's what you can do to join us and become part of this to make the world a safer place. So I think you've got enough time for that, and that can be stronger. But I love the pitch because it just really went through about the right sequence of timing, and it was easy to understand. I didn't have to know, how it's working, whether it's Bluetooth, whether it's Wi-Fi. That's for an explanation beyond the 3-minute pitch of how it works. It's
wonderful.
what the problem is, what it does, and just make it a little stronger on join us, what they can do. But excellent job, Kirk.
Well, thank you very much for the feedback. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and Stuart, what were your comments?
Well, I think you just took all of them, Rick. So I completely agree with everything Rick said. Kirk, that was a fantastic presentation. And you said beforehand you were a little bit nervous. That, if you were, did not show at all. Throughout, it seemed like a very professional presentation. And I think you have been really difficult today because I'm struggling to think of anything very substantive to say, which is a wonderful position to be put in as a coach because it means that you did such a great job. So let's just quickly build on what Rick said and look at some of those things. Your relatability at the beginning as a parent was huge, and launching straight in with a story is fantastic. And I love that, in a sense, there was quite a lot to explain, but you made it so clear and simple. I have a very clear idea of how this brand new product that I've never heard of works and how I could use it. And to do that in just a couple of minutes is masterful. And it's what we want all people who are pitching to be able to do. But often it takes a lot of work to get to that point. So I really, really applaud you for having reached that level of clarity already. And so when we think, well, how can we make this even better? I think we're looking at small things here. One thing I wondered is, with the story, we stayed in the area of hypotheticals, but is there a real story of a time when that 2-year-old actually did something and hit their heads? It doesn't have to be your 2-year-old, a friend's 2-year-old. These nightmare stories that you hear that will terrify any parent and make them think, yup, how can I not have this? And so that's one challenge I would present to you is think if you can put something like that. You don't want to turn it into a negative, horrifying nightmare pitch, but at the same time, just plant that little story that can make it really land the deal for people. I think that would be fantastic. I loved overall your demeanor, your friendliness, your smiling, great attributes as a presenter. And then I think the other thing just to be considering, a bit like Rick mentioned, is at the very end there, what exactly are you asking for? You had a presentation that I think, if it were a sales presentation, fantastic job. I'm a parent, not of toddlers anymore, but thinking, yep, this sounds good to me. But what exactly are you asking of the investors, and both in terms of what they can give you and what they're likely to get out of this? But tremendous job with what you've done so far.
Thank you so much.
Excellent feedback. And this is really a testimonial to you and your ability and skill here, Kirk. And of course, Nathan, I think mentioned it before, you worked together with each other prior to this, and that really clearly comes through. Whenever Nathan touches somebody and they are coming into this pitch zone here, it usually is already a very, very good pitch. We do have a viewer on YouTube. It's a quiet day today on YouTube in terms of comments, but I do want to pull one up that Massimo left here. And he said, I think all parents can relate to this, to it. So for sure, great idea. What about a 10-second video to show how it works? With a cute baby, it will surely work like magic. And I think that's a really, really good idea. Have you considered doing a small little video like that?
I bet you I could try to get that together for my next round with you.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Immediately implementing those kind of tips. Absolutely. And then this is something, I'm not sure if I agree with Massimo here. Well, with the first part, I definitely agree that since this was almost perfect, we have to find small things. So now we are digging, or at least some of us are digging. And so he thinks your headset might not look all that professional. That's the part I'm not sure whether I agree or not, because to me, as soon as we are wearing headphones, it's not that professional in a way anyways, right? So I'm not sure, Massimo, maybe you can clarify, what do you mean by more professional? Do you think some big, or maybe you can comment on that? And while you do that, I'm going to move it over to Nathan. Nathan, here we go. What kind of feedback do you have?
Well, Kirk, really, that was, I just ditto, copy, paste everything everybody else has just said. But to give Kirk the fairness, he has done all this work on his own. Yeah. Yes, we have met, and he has shown me what he's planning to do, and we've brainstormed a lot. But the truth is, Kirk, you pulled off a real amazing presentation here. It was excellent in so many ways, and now you're getting those little fine tuning that are potentially going to amplify this in the minds of everybody that hears or sees it in a big way. For example, the idea that of the video, and having that is going to tug at everyone's heartstrings. And if you had the right money, you could get somebody to do that with a green screen and have a baby literally looking over a stairwell, but they're not really, kind of thing. So we can, I guess, talk about that offline. But definitely having a little demo like that would be amazing. So a couple of fine-tuning points that I'll add to you here is that your opening line when you said parenthood is having enough eyes on your child, that was poetic. A real poetic opening. It was eyes on your child. Yes, that was. I don't remember hearing that from you before today. So, you and your wife are coming up with some great stuff. Once again, I know I keep saying this, and one day I think it'll click. Is that the fireplace is not working for me?
Oh, okay, great.
The stairs.
Okay.
Work. So I'd put the fireplace later. Yeah, the fireplace. If you fall on the brick, you're going to hurt your head. But the stairs are scary. Okay. Or the stove. Or something that's a bit more, oh, wait, I'm downstairs, they're upstairs. Or being at the bottom of the stairs, your parent looks up at the top of the stairs. It's like, right? So I would go with the stairs personally. For everybody, one time I was sitting with Kirk, and he's sitting in front of his stairs. Pitching to me, and he goes through and he says, "Oh, about the fireplace." I said, "Kirk, look behind you." Oh yeah. So the last thing I want to mention for the moment is I feel like now that I'm hearing you say saving lives, you're not really saving lives. In my mind, you're protecting lives. Okay. Wow. And I feel like that's a more genuine way to approach this product. But the things that you got here, the real story, blur out the face if you have to, kind of thing. And one last thing, Stuart mentioned that you have lots to explain here. Yes. And it wasn't too much. So if you had a 3-minute window, if you just paused a little bit more in between kind of
Okay.
sections,
Very good.
it'll be easier for us to process and digest all the great stuff that you're giving us. So I'd hit the applause button 100 times for you if I could today.
Well, let's
Thank
do
you
it.
all. This is
Let's do it
wonderful.
one more time,
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I
just,
didn't
just,
do that.
just to
Claudia
make,
did.
just to make Nathan happy here.
He deserves it.
No, this is really good. And Massimo came back in the meantime here with a clarification what he means. And the key is here that he found the bouncing wires a little bit distracting. Again, small things. And I agree, these are really, really, really small things. Michael has joined us here in the green room, and he asked a question that only we can see here in the back end. Was this to be an investor pitch? I think many comments have been related to the customer pitch. So that's a good point here, I think, Michael. It felt almost a little bit more like a general product company pitch rather than a specific investor pitch.
And I think probably I could solve a lot of that with my call to action, which Nathan has challenged me, and I think I just didn't stick the landing today. So if I can fine tune that might cover a lot of.
All right. Stuart, you have something else you said?
Sure, because I think even if you do the investor pitch, you still needed everything that you had today. The investors are going to want to understand this product and understand its application. So I do agree. I think the investor piece was perhaps missing, but I loved the extension of possible applications for this, because as soon as I heard it, my mind was racing as well and thinking, yes, what about elderly people? I even went as far to think as this could be a fun game for people that are between toddlers and elderly people. There are so many applications that you could have with this. One other thing that I was thinking about, which we don't often mention here on PitchZone, is in your pitch, you're likely to have questions afterwards. And so what I'm about to say, I'm not sure is something that you would want to include in the pitch, but you certainly would want to be ready for in case you were to get questions. And that is kind of thinking, well, what could go wrong with this? Or what unreasonable expectations might people have with this? And so I think it needs to be quite obvious. This isn't a substitute for parenting. This isn't, people might be thinking, well, can I just put these up and then I can head off out of home? And that clearly could lead to lots of negligent situations. And so you're going to want to have answers prepared along the lines of, well, no, it's just giving you that extra layer of protection, the extra ability to watch your kids. So I just think anticipate those. Again, I mean, the thing I'm interested with the examples, Nathan's talking about the top of the stairs, but if your toddler's at the top of the stairs and the alarm's going off, have you got enough time to get there to reach them? So in some ways, I quite like the fireplace or even a table in the living room. It needs thinking about, but and of course you would do that. But just as I say, be ready to anticipate any questions that you might be asked.
And Stuart, I agree. And Kirk, I've got a question for you. You didn't mention the price, and I assume that was deliberate. But
Correct.
I think that is something that both the customers would want to know, and especially the investors would want to know.
Fair enough.
If you say each sensor is $20 and you can buy a whole house kit, which has 6 sensors in the app for $120, and for the people who have the kids or elderly, they say, oh yeah, I can afford that. I buy a Wise security camera for $30 or $50 or whatever. But this is so much better than the camera because it's going to beep from that. But also from the investors we feel that thousands or hundreds of thousands of houses with children or facilities with assisted living places are going to buy this, and it's affordable. So whether you want to get into the price or not, I think the message is it's affordable for the consumer and for the investor. It's affordable, it works, and the thousands or millions of people are going to buy it. So, but Kirk, I have a question. Did you deliberately leave out the price or the financials at this point?
I did just just because I was hoping to expand upon that, in the subsequent chat, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know for the other coaches, how do you feel of his case? Does he wait until questions before he says it's affordable and a lot of people are going to buy it, or should he put it in the 3 minutes?
I'll put my 2 cents in there if you want. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I as I was listening to you, Rick, just now, it makes sense to me, Kirk, for the pricing, even if you don't know the exact amount, but a range might work. But I like the idea of putting the price, like get through the whole thing. You're at 2 minutes, 20 seconds. You have now 40 more seconds. You can say in the pricing model, blah, 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 which can easily lead you into the missing investor pieces. And I only think you need one more, personally, I think you need one more slide in between, or one more section in between our pricing, blah, 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 market size, ask, done.
Very good.
I think that's really all you need, because they want to know you have to give them a sense of the market size, even if it's a top down for the moment, can lead you into conversations right afterwards. But I do believe that leaving the price off in terms of we're selling this for $29.95. If you don't know yet, don't make it up. But if you have a range, you can say, well, current baby monitors on the market run about $99 to $199. We're expecting our base system to be roughly 129, but whatever that is, somewhere in between that. Comes with 4 sensors, blah, 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 blah. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
Once you know how many sensors come in the box.
We've got our ideas.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. So one question I have, Kirk, is you showed the smartphone app before, right? Is that data also available somewhere in the cloud? And I'm thinking now less about children, but more so maybe the elderly, right? That are alone in their home, and it's kind of like one of these, improved versions of the help, I've fallen and can't get up kind of ideas, right?
And you know what? That is a bullet that I dropped on accident again. We do envision family sharing. The babysitter's phone can forward it to you while you're out at dinner. You can check in remotely. And we work out some variation of that for elder or visually impaired users. So yeah, that's definitely something that we see as a big feature.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, we still have some time on the clock here, and I know as the coaches, we are floored by this, because this is your first pitch here. You signed up for 3 sessions, and so I'm looking forward to the next one, because the next one you will incorporate some of the things you have heard here today, and you also told me that one you will do slides, and maybe part of the slides will be a short little video, So I really look forward to that. Now, because we still have some time left, let's turn the table, and let me ask you. You have now 4 coaches here. You have entered the world of pitching a couple months ago. It was new territory for you. I'm sure you learned so much in a short time. What questions do you still have, or what is on your mind that we can help you improve your pitch?
Well, I tell you, PitchZone, well, obviously working with Nathan, who's just genius and brilliant, but PitchZone has just been an incredible resource. I so enjoyed last week's format of just getting so much information and wisdom from the panel. I guess I'm very gratified to find out that a lot of the structure seems to be working, so at least in this 2.5 minute format, because that is something that, we struggled with, my wife and I, figuring out what parts are essential, what parts aren't. And, we would lose people when we talked about Bluetooth. We would lose people when we talked about some of the inspiration for the idea. So, yeah, basically it's Nathan has many, many times challenged me about it's the opening and it's the close. And I guess the call to action is, I don't know if that's anyone has anything else they haven't already said, but I know that's probably the biggest piece that, needs to happen from here.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as the close and the call to action goes, I don't want to go too specific. However, one thing that I know works exquisitely well is if you bring back some of the thoughts that you used in the opening, just to wrap it up. So it could be, tell me the first couple of words again, the first one or two sentences that you are saying when you open.
I'm the father of a 2-year-old, and parenthood for me means never feeling secure enough, and that you have enough eyes on your child to help keep them safe.
Okay, so you could perhaps use the eyes on the child, right? In the close, do something like, and if you are interested to help me help the world keep their eyes on their children, get in touch with me. Right? Something where you just use the same kind of words, and that way you are doing two things. You are referring back to the actual beginning, you're putting it into brackets, and you're also making that main point so much more memorable, because it's usually the things that we hear very last in a pitch, right? That we are carrying with us out into the world. Any other thoughts by the coach? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Claudia, I totally agree. I thought the same thing. If you can call back to the story at the beginning, that would be fantastic. And I would invoke the 2-year-old again. Remember the 2-year-old, because we all started off with that feeling, and it would be great to end with that feeling. One thing I was just thinking about, and this would be a decision for you, but it's often you can make a closer connection with your audience if you name the characters in it. So if you wanted to name your 2-year-old, we're not just then thinking of abstract 2-year-old, but we're actually thinking of that person. Now, I think is it Wendy's, the restaurant, where I think years later, of course, world famous, and I gather the owner maybe regretted naming it after his daughter. So you might want to think about it, but as a general rule, if we hear the name of a character in a story, we're going to be making a closer connection to them, and we can use fewer words as well to relate to them if you mention them again. But yes, I love that idea of taking us back to where we started at the end.
Yeah. And Kirk, one thing that you can save to next time, but one of our coaches, Scotty, will always ask the presenter the question, "Why you?" So I mean, we know you're the father of a 2-year-old, but what are your qualifications to actually build this product and bring it to market successfully? So that's something that I know Scotty will go in if I think she's going to be one of the coaches for in a couple weeks. But something to think about of, especially for the investor. I mean, for the product, a product pitch is not as important, but for the investor, why should they put their money in for you? Are you the right person to bring this to market? So that's something to think about for next time.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to bring up something for everybody to be paying attention to, because we haven't even talked about it, and that is, what are some of the most important qualities that investors look for in people like Kirk? And if you go back many, many years to a TED Talk given by the pitch doctor in New York, David Rose, he had a list of 20 or 30 that people in the audience had put on the list. And the number one quality that he professes that investors look for in people like you, Kirk, is being able to be coachability. And I just want to point out that you're one of the most coachable people I've ever worked with. And you're also a great listener. And when you show the listening skills that you have here as an example today, I just want everybody to realize that this is the kind of person that investors love to be around. Not the one defending themselves all the time, not the ones jumping into add more context. But if you watch what happened, and I didn't coach Kirk on this at all, not at all, but you have seen him show those two qualities that are so important, being a good listener and being coachable, at least showing the appearance of being coachable is so important in this investor world or startup world. So Kirk, really well done.
Thank you
Nathan,
so much.
while you are talking about this, what are some other qualities that you know
Oh.
investors are really, just 2, 3 other ones, because I think that is such an important point to make.
Sure. Honesty, empathy, all of those kinds of qualities that they're looking for in people they want to be around a lot. But I would say honesty, credibility, believability, and empathy. Being in service of others, although that's not the quality, it's not a quality, but the empathy approach to helping the world, the ocean, or people is a big win when it comes to the kinds of qualities people are looking for.
Nice. Because I think, so many times people think, well, it's all these hard skills, the determination and the motivation and so on. But of course, you have been around for 1.5 decades now doing this. You have such a great insight. And it's so refreshing to hear you talk more about these, I don't know the word, softer or the human side, that they're really looking at the human side, right? And is there a heart and not just a pulse?
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Could I just add one final
please.
piece? Just quickly.
Absolutely.
Sorry. So Kirk, you gave us this fantastic presentation today, and we've now been chatting for nearly half an hour about it. And I just want to remind you of something that is so important, which is what you gave us today essentially worked and was essentially great. And if you're going to go back and look at all the comments and make little tweaks here or there, that's fine. But make sure that you don't end up with something totally different at the end of all of that loses the magic of what we had today, because it's very easy to do one step at a time. Suddenly you can end up somewhere so different from where you were, and I think what you essentially had today was fantastic. So it's just tweaks that you want to be making.
Very good. I'm prone to oversteering, so thank you for that.
This is a great point that you're making, Stuart, and of course that's why Kirk signed up for 3 sessions. So if he's overcorrecting now and shows something in 2 weeks that is like, well, then we are pulling back again. And in the 3rd session, that's usually going to be the charm anyways. And for anybody watching us today, I hope you got some value as well, just by observing or watching the replay here. And if you would like to be in Kirk's seat and get your pitch reviewed, please visit PitchZone.live and apply to pitch. It's a very, very simple process, right, Kirk? It's very simple, and yeah.
Yes, please. It's a great experience.
Very good. So PitchZone.live, that's the place where you can go to get feedback from all the coaches here. Once a week we do this. We'll change the format slightly in the new year, I think. Yet there will always be some spots for those people who really want to improve, not just by listening, but also by doing, by practicing, because that, in my opinion, is really, really the way to improve. You have to do it. You have to do it at one point or another. And that brings me to next week, because next week we'll have a new presenter, and I am looking so forward to Jason Mirosh. Jason, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Claudio. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Really, really great, really great. We had a quick chat yesterday. You just went through the process of hopping on our calendar, and I think it was pretty painless as well, right? So,
That's right.
yeah, okay. So, Jason, next week, what are you going to pitch? And I don't want you to go through the pitch now, but just give us a little tease. Why should we come back next week and listen to your pitch?
I'm going to pitch something that is an alternative to using a marketing platform such as MailChimp.
Okay. Enough said. My ears are already wide open. I think as a user of platforms like this, there is definitely room for something that is even better than anything that's out there right now. And I've gone through a lot of evaluations of that. So I look forward to hearing that pitch. Jason, I'm going to put you on the side very briefly for my quick wrap up. Again, if you do want to pitch in PitchZone, go to pitchzone.live and we'll take it from there. And with that, I want to thank all of the coaches for helping our presenters every single week. I can tell by the smiling face of Kirk that something resonated. And thank you, Kirk, for jumping in here, because this takes a little bit guts, to do this in front of a live audience. And now, this is not a big show, but you never know who's going to watch this afterwards. So,
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, I wish you all a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And we shall see each other again next week. See you. Bye.